Sarah Silverman is someone who used to be a progressive ally and used to support Bernie Sanders, so I found it odd that after the primary was rigged, Bernie Sanders and his supporters were vilified and he lost 184 pledged delegates to election fraud, that she would have the audacity to infamously tell us that we're being ridiculous.
Can I just say to the Bernie or Bust people, you're being ridiculous.
Now, she went on Bill Maher's show, which I have just found to be completely insufferable lately since he's become a Hillary apologist, and she was basically congratulated for talking down to us peasants, and Bill Maher and her doubled down, so take a look.
Ever since you were at the Democratic convention and you pointed at the Bernie people and said, you're being ridiculous, and I thought it was wonderful, and...
That was just in the moment.
Yeah,
they literally told us to stretch.
But is that, do you wear the crown heavily now that you've been anointed as someone who's going to lead us in our political thinking?
Yeah, of course. I don't know. I mean, there's no one more Bernie than me. I am so inspired every day by Bernie Sanders. The good news is, you know, people who change the world are almost never the president, you know? So we don't have them for 4 years. We have them forever. Is that so bad to settle for?
Well, actually, people... No. The president is someone who changes the world.
Yes, but
let's just get that out on the table.
The people that we remember throughout history that have changed our world are almost never the president.
That's completely not true, and the very reason we're so afraid of Trump is because that it is true that the president.
I see your line of thinking, but I'm thinking of Gandhi, Martin Luther King. You know, some of those people changed the world.
But Martin Luther King didn't send troops into the South to make sure that the black people could go to college.
Are you sure?
President Kennedy did that.
Because of
President
pressure,
Kennedy, everybody.
because of pressures from outside people.
Yes, absolutely.
And Bernie needs an ally in office.
That's right.
That's why I don't understand these Bernie or Bust people. You know, I don't know what their long game is. I don't know what their perfect dream scenario is. I earnestly am asking, or am I being obtuse?
No, you are
but
not.
It seems that it would be good to have an ally in office.
And you are the perfect one to talk to them, because what are you, 28, 29 now? You're
almost. I hate that that's a big funny joke.
You're a millennial and one with stamina. Now, let me read the polls here on Clinton, 18 to 34 people. Clinton, 31%. Trump, 26%. Gary Johnson, 29%. Gary Johnson.
Gary Johnson.
Gary Johnson.
Listen.
Is a fucking idiot.
I feel like he's a fucking idiot.
I like him. He's a nice guy, but he's another in my basket of fucking idiots.
Listen, I voted, and I believe you did in 2000 for Ralph Nader.
Yes.
But this is not that kind of time.
Right.
No,
and he wasn't
an idiot, but he also wasn't going to win.
And it was a mistake.
We wanted to vote our conscience.
And I admitted it, yes.
It was a mistake.
Okay, but Gary Johnson, can I show you we put a little montage of Gary Johnson together, just to remind, and we all thought he was a cool guy. You know, he smokes pot, he was for pot. He's not making pot look good.
Pot doesn't make you cool.
Right.
Pot is cool.
Pot is cool,
but it doesn't make you
know
cool.
what's also cool? Reading.
Yeah.
Here's a little bit of Gary Johnson for those thinking of voting for him.
Aleppo. And what is Aleppo?
Aleppo, not knowing that there's a city in between the two forces.
Who's your favorite foreign leader?
Who's my favorite?
Anybody. Pick any leader.
I'm having a brain.
Well, name anybody.
I think I could stand up there for the whole debate.
So weird.
Really? And by the way, for the people, 29%, 18 to 34, who I assume a lot of them were Bernie people, right? Okay, here's some minimum wage. Hillary's with Bernie, not Gary Johnson. Right. Believes in no minimum wage. TPP, he's for that. Hillary and Bernie are against it. Citizens United. All the money you want in politics. Gun control, wants none of that. Financial regulation, universal health care. He's for repealing Obamacare. Free college, he's against that. He's for nothing that you fucking people want.
It's not even like, no one's even misinforming them about him. Like,
Right.
they are, like, with your friend. You know, it's like people are, what
Yeah, no, that's true.
What you were saying was exactly right. People vote because they're totally misinformed, and that is a real thing.
So there were several things in there that I took issue with. So at one point, Bill Maher said, "You're a pundit now since you pointed at the Bernie people at the convention and told them they're being ridiculous." And, I just thought it was wonderful. See, what you see here is two rich people rich-splaining to poor peasants and talking down to them about why they shouldn't be angry that a rich corporatist oligarch cheated them out of the candidate that they supported during the primary. That is just, that's beautiful right there. You get these moments once in a while, and you really got to cherish them because it just shows how smug and condescending these rich celebrities really are. It was wonderful to tell these people that they're just being ridiculous. Now, you're not going to ask why they're being ridiculous and why they're booing Hillary Clinton. You're not going to try to actually substantively address their concerns, though, are you? You're just going to tell them they're ridiculous, look how crazy Donald Trump is, and fall in line and vote for Hillary Clinton even though she screwed you over. Unbelievable. Now, they also said, we have Bernie forever, not just for 4 years. Is that so hard to settle for? Okay, well, by that logic, Sarah, shouldn't we be more excited about what Hillary Clinton can't do if she were president? Because she has the Clinton Foundation, right? So couldn't she do more charity work if she wasn't the president? So, if you're using that own logic and you apply it to Hillary Clinton, it doesn't necessarily transfer over. So, the reason why we wanted Bernie Sanders to become president is because he would dramatically shift the narrative in the country and bring Democrats hopefully back to where they were when FDR was president, when Jimmy Carter was president. Jimmy Carter was the last FDR-like president that we've had. And ever since then, we've gotten corporatist, centrist, establishment Democrats, and clearly it's not working. The economy is doing great again, but for the top 0.1%, not for us peasants. So you guys might not be able to understand that because you get millions to just talk shit about peasants, but we actually have to go to work for a living. And she also said again, that's why I don't understand these Bernie or bust people. I don't know what their long game is. I earnestly am asking, or am I just being obtuse? Yes, you're being obtuse. Here's the long game. We're telling the Democratic Party that once and for all, they don't have our votes no matter what, regardless of how scary the Republican is, be it Trump or Satan himself. We're taking a stand and saying you don't get to continue to move to the right with the Republicans and continue to just be a little bit less shitty than Republicans. Either you be liberal or you lose your base. The DNC rigged the primary so Bernie Sanders would lose, basically telling us that you'll never get the candidate that we actually want, meaning we'll never get real change. So by voting for Jill Stein, we're telling the Democratic Party that if they're not going to fight for us, we'll find somebody who will. By rigging the primary, the DNC and the Democratic Party sent a very clear message to the voters. If you ever try to put forth an actual anti-establishment, real progressive candidate, we're going to veto that choice. You're not going to have a say. We're going to do everything we can to destroy his or her campaign. That's what they told us. So why would we support a party that doesn't want real change, that just wants to get in office and do the bidding of their corporate donors? Sorry, I'm not falling for it anymore. And I get, if you want to vote for Hillary Clinton to stop Donald Trump, that's on you. That's fine. I respect that decision. Now respect mine because my reasons are valid. Now, her and Bill Maher said, we voted for Ralph Nader in 2000, but this is not that kind of time. And then Bill Maher said that he wasn't an idiot, unlike Gary Johnson. Well, I disagree with Gary Johnson on a plethora of issues, but there's one pretty big elephant in the room that you're leaving out. Jill Stein. Oh wait, you probably don't want to mention her because there's no substantive criticisms that you can use against her to imply that Hillary Clinton is somehow better than Jill Stein. And if you do try to convince us that we should vote for Hillary Clinton over Jill Stein, you can't do that without invoking Donald Trump. So you just completely disregard that altogether. You leave out Jill Stein. Clever, really clever, but we're onto the bullshit. We know what you're doing. And Bill Maher talked about why progressives shouldn't support Gary Johnson, saying that he's for none of the things you people want. But here's the thing, with the exception of pot legalization, I do agree that Gary Johnson would be a disaster. He is a neoliberal nightmare. He is, he's a libertarian. So the domestic policies would be horrible. But if you compare him to Hillary Clinton, strictly looking at foreign policy, he is sane. Hillary Clinton is a war hawk to the nth degree. She said that she would respond to cyber attacks militarily. She wants a Syrian no-fly zone. You have to put boots on the ground for that. You could potentially reignite a new Cold War by telling Russia, you don't get to fly your plane over this territory, and if you do, we're going to shoot it down. Gary Johnson isn't saying any of those things. So by supporting Gary Johnson, I don't get why you would support him over Jill Stein, but in supporting him, you're kind of making a sacrifice. You get horrible domestic policies, but at least you get sane foreign policy. So it's one or the other. So you have to look at everything. There's nuance, right? Hillary Clinton, she's better on domestic policies probably than Gary Johnson, although they wouldn't be that much different. But I mean, in foreign policy, there's no comparison there. Gary Johnson just is hands down better than Hillary Clinton. Now, here's what I've really come to despise from all these celebrities and just the constant finger wagging and the smug implication that they somehow know better than us because they're richer than us or older than us and wiser than us. Look, here's a challenge for Bill Maher and Sarah Silverman and any other smug celebrity like Whoopi Goldberg or Seth Meyers that wants to talk down to us peasants. Here's the challenge. You ready? So here's what you got to do. You actually have to mention that Jill Stein exists. That's the first part. And the second part is that you have to objectively explain why she's not as good as Hillary Clinton, and you have to do that without invoking Donald Trump. If you can do that, then I'll hear you out. But if you can't do that, you know you're on the wrong side of the argument.